In a sleek Manhattan boardroom, billionaire CEO Ethan Caldwell faced a crisis that threatened to derail a multi-billion-dollar deal with Chinese investors. With his translator absent and the clock ticking, panic set in, until an unassuming janitor, unnoticed by the corporate elite, stepped forward with a skill that would turn the entire room upside down. Ethan Caldwell stood at the head of the conference table, his tailored suit pristine, his posture commanding. The Manhattan skyline gleamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Caldwell Enterprises headquarters, a testament to his empire. At 42, Ethan had built a tech conglomerate from a single app idea, turning it into a global powerhouse. Today, he was set to close a $2 billion deal with a consortium of Chinese investors, a move that would cement his company's dominance in AI-driven logistics. But as the Chinese delegation filed in, led by the sharp-eyed Mr. Liu Wei, Ethan's confidence wavered. His translator, Mei Chen, was nowhere to be found. The room buzzed with tension. Ethan's team, 6 executives in crisp suits, each clutching folders of financial projections, exchanged nervous glances. Mei had been hired for her fluency in Mandarin and her understanding of cultural nuances, critical for navigating the subtleties of this negotiation. Without her, the deal was at risk. Ethan's assistant, Rachel, whispered that Mei had called in sick just an hour ago, citing a sudden flu. Ethan's jaw tightened. He couldn't postpone. The investors had flown in from Beijing, and their schedules were rigid. He needed a solution, and he needed it now. Mr. Liu sat across the table, his expression unreadable. His team, 4 men and 2 women in impeccable attire, waited silently. Ethan forced a smile, stalling with small talk about New York's weather, but Mr. Liu's curt nod signaled impatience. The language barrier loomed like a wall. Ethan's executives tried to fill the silence, but their English-only presentations fell flat. Mr. Liu leaned forward, speaking rapidly in Mandarin, his tone sharp. Ethan caught only fragments, words like terms and commitment, but without context he was lost. Sweat beaded on his forehead. This wasn't just a deal. It was his legacy. In the corner of the room, Marcus Johnson, the janitor, polished a glass door. At 38, Marcus was a fixture in the building, his navy uniform blending into the background. He'd worked the night shift for years, cleaning offices while the corporate world slept. Most employees barely noticed him, but Marcus noticed everything. The late-night deals, the whispered arguments, the weight of ambition. He'd grown up in Harlem, raised by a single mother who taught him resilience and the value of listening. His life hadn't been easy, but it had sharpened his instincts. Marcus paused, his cloth stilling as he overheard Mr. Liu's Mandarin. To the surprise of no one, because no one paid attention, Marcus understood every word. He'd spent 2 years in Shanghai as a teenager, part of an exchange program his mother had fought to get him into. There he'd learned Mandarin, not just textbook phrases but the cadence of real conversation. Back in New York he rarely used it, but the language had stayed with him, as natural as breathing. Ethan's voice rose, betraying his frustration. "Rachel, find me someone, anyone, who can translate. Now." Rachel scrambled, dialing HR. But the office was thin on multilingual staff. The Chinese delegation shifted uncomfortably, sensing the disarray. Mr. Liu's eyes narrowed, and he murmured something to his team. Marcus caught it. "If they can't handle this, how can we trust them with our investment?" Marcus set down his cloth. He hesitated, aware of the invisible line between his world and theirs. But the stakes were clear. He stepped forward, clearing his throat. "Excuse me, Mr. Caldwell. I can help." The room froze. Ethan turned, his brow furrowed. "Who are you?" he asked, his tone sharp but curious. Marcus stood tall, his uniform slightly wrinkled from hours of work. "Marcus Johnson. Clean the offices. I speak Mandarin." Ethan blinked, caught off guard. The executives exchanged skeptical looks. Rachel whispered, "He's the janitor." But Ethan, desperate, waved him forward. "You're sure you can do this?" No mistakes. Marcus nodded. I'm sure. He stepped to the table, facing Mr. Liu. In fluent Mandarin, he introduced himself, explaining that he'd step in to facilitate. Mr. Liu's expression softened, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. He responded, testing Marcus with a complex question about the deal's equity structure. Marcus translated flawlessly, his voice steady, capturing not just the words but the intent behind them. Ethan watched stunned. The janitor, someone he'd never spoken to in years of passing him in the halls, was commanding the room. Marcus relayed Ethan's responses, navigating technical jargon and cultural nuances with ease. When Mr. Liu raised concerns about data privacy, Marcus didn't just translate. He clarified, drawing on his understanding of both sides' priorities. The tension in the room eased. The Chinese delegation nodded, engaged, even smiling at Marcus's occasional humor. As the meeting progressed, Marcus became more than a translator. He was a bridge. When Ethan stumbled over a financial projection, Marcus subtly rephrased it, making the numbers clearer without undermining his boss. When Mr. Liu referenced a Chinese proverb to emphasize trust, Marcus explained its meaning to Ethan, ensuring no nuance was lost. The executives, initially skeptical, began scribbling notes, impressed. Rachel stared, her phone forgotten. The negotiations stretched into hours. Marcus stood the entire time, refusing a chair, his focus unwavering. By noon, the deal was taking shape, terms clarified, trust established. Mr. Liu leaned back, satisfied, and addressed Marcus directly. "You are not what I expected from this company," he said in Mandarin. Marcus smiled, replying, "I'm just here to help." But his words carried weight, and Mr. Liu's nod suggested respect beyond the moment. When the delegation broke for lunch, Ethan pulled Marcus aside. "How did you learn to do that?" he asked, still processing the morning. Marcus shrugged. "Life. I was in China as a kid. Picked it up. Never stopped listening." Ethan stared, recalculating the man in front of him. "You're not just a janitor," he said, almost to himself. Marcus didn't respond. He didn't need to. His work had spoken. But as Ethan returned to the table, he made a mental note to talk to HR. Marcus wasn't just an asset for today. He was a reminder of what Ethan had overlooked in his own company, talent hiding in plain sight. The afternoon session sealed the deal. Marcus translated the final terms, ensuring both sides understood the commitments. When Mr. Liu signed the agreement, he shook Marcus's hand first, a gesture that didn't go unnoticed. The executives clapped, but Marcus slipped back to his cleaning cart, ready to finish his shift. Ethan caught up with him in the hallway. "You saved us today," he said. "What do you want?" "A raise. A new role." Marcus paused, considering. "I like my job," he said. "But if you're offering, I'd take a chance to do more of this. Connecting people." Ethan nodded, already planning a new position. Marcus didn't wait for a response. He pushed his cart down the hall, the hum of the building resuming around him. The deal made headlines the next day. Caldwell Enterprises secures $2 billion Chinese investment. No one mentioned Marcus. But in the boardroom, Ethan knew the truth. The unassuming janitor had not only saved the day but had shifted his perspective on who really powered his empire. The story of that day rippled through Caldwell Enterprises. Ethan, once dismissive of those outside his inner circle, began seeking out talent in unexpected places. Marcus took on a hybrid role, part facilities, part cultural liaison, training others while still pushing his cart some nights. He didn't need the spotlight, but he'd earned respect. Mr. Liu returned for future meetings, always asking for Marcus by name. The Chinese investors praised Caldwell's hidden gem, unaware of the broader lesson, that skill and value often lie where no one thinks to look. For Ethan, it was a humbling reminder. For Marcus, it was just another day. Proof that opportunity doesn't always knock. Sometimes it waits quietly, holding a mop.